apologize for this today, but your lady did not sleep very well. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning because my little pup Marley had an uneasy belly, and so she could not stay indoor. It was like out, in, out, in. So this girl had to get up. And so moms, I feel you when you tell me that you can't sleep. I get it. It's really hard. But we're going to talk about coffee, which is really appropriate because a lot of people that don't sleep, what do they go for in the morning? So a big question always comes up is coffee bad or good for you? Well, it's either or actually, and it really depends on the person. So I'm going to give you an example of my situation. I'm tired, and this morning I really thought, well, I should have a coffee maybe to give me a boost. But then I know that after going through adrenal fatigue and having a very weak adrenals, I don't need to put stimulants especially when I'm feeling tired, because actually my energy level has been really good this morning considering, and I decided not to put any stimulation, to just appreciate the day and rest when I need to, and tonight go and have an early one. So if I had that coffee by the time I finished everything and was ready to eat and drink, it would have been 10:30, 11. Tonight I would not sleep. The half-life of coffee is really, really long, and I'm very sensitive to it because I don't drink it anymore on a regular basis. So if I have coffee, I'm like wired at night, which I don't need tonight. So I decided against it. And knowing your body is such a good thing to do. So coffee can be something you do not want to have if you have adrenal fatigue, if you suffer from anxiety, if you cannot sleep well, if your gut is not great. Because I actually noticed myself and reported by many people, and I didn't look for there's any study with this, but when I drink coffee, if I'm not in a good mental state, if I'm not rested, I can get a very loose bowel movement. And a lot of people have reported that. So obviously this is a stimulant, so that's probably what, and also stimulates urination. So maybe it just affects everything. And I haven't looked at any studies for this, but that's my experience and the experience of my clients that have reported about it, if they want to get off coffee or need to get off coffee. On the flip side, coffee has a lot of benefits. There's a lot of science, a lot of research that shows that coffee is really beneficial for lowering cholesterol and for helping with cardiovascular health. So I feel that actually, it's great if you do not suffer from anxiety, if you're not drinking it as a addict and have it every minute of the day, if you have one and you're happy, or if you forget it, you don't care. If you're not depending on the coffee, I think coffee can be just such a nice drink to have. And just, with a good diet, of course, not to replace the energy, but actually just because you like it. I really don't think there's anything wrong with it. I know there are a lot of influencers online that anything with caffeine is considered a drug. I don't personally see it that way. However, it can be a drug, and it really depends on the person. So weak adrenals, stay away from coffee. Anxiety, stay away from coffee. If you don't have any of that and you can either have it or not and you don't care, and then coffee is not affecting you, I don't see why not if you want it. There are things to take into consideration when it comes to coffee. It's a bean that is a little bit controversial because if you have it organic, there is a high chance of mold, and it can be a little bit tough, and you really have to know where you source it from and so on. If it's non-organic, it's heavily sprayed, so you don't want to have that crap in your body, especially as it goes through a roasting cycle and then in hot water, so the heat propagates the pesticides even more. So it's a tough one, right? It's a tough call. And you can do your research. There are brands that they have no pesticides and also are tested for mold, and you can get away with it. But I'm sure that very far in between, because few and far in between, because it's expensive, right? So I don't know what the quality generally is. I tend to buy organic, and I really hope for the best. I'm not gonna lie. I asked the companies and they say that they have no mold on the beans, but I don't know. I'm not an expert in that. And again, I don't have it often enough. I used to have so much coffee. And I can tell you that coffee is also a social thing, so I completely get it. When I used to work in banking, especially when we were in London in a new building in Canary Wharf, we had a cafeteria with Starbucks. So a lot of our meetings with our managers or between teammates, if we wanted to get away from the desk, was going to the cafeteria and have Starbucks coffees. And even when in the building before, we just had to go out, and it was good for stretching your legs, getting out, but we were going for coffee. So we were drinking probably, first thing in the morning, you get to work, you have a coffee, then around 11 o'clock, and then after lunch, and you can easily get to 3 or 4 in a day, and I think that's too much. And everybody had coffee. It's like the drug of choice, and in that context I really felt that it was a drug, and for me especially, because I wasn't functioning without it, because it was a stressful environment. We were working long hours, and again, the social aspect of it. I didn't drink any alcohol, I don't drink any alcohol, so I could only socialize with my teammates over coffee. Could have been really herbal teas. I was a little bit addicted to the taste of coffee. And at the beginning, at the beginning when I started working back in 2010, I was not even vegan, so I was having milk, which was terrible for my gut. Should have known. And then later, obviously, even better for me when we went to like oat milks and rice milks and coconut milk. I like them even better than dairy without the side effects on top of it. So I was having even more. And so for me, that was definitely an addiction, and I had to really stop. And I only really stopped in 2022, last year, or the year before, at the end of 21, because I got sick and I was trying to recover, and I had to really look at the broad picture of myself. I had type 2 diabetes, reversing it to pre-diabetes, reversing it to no diabetes. Coffee actually can be really beneficial for diabetes, but according to research, but I just felt like diabetes for me was also not just the food. Of course, I take full responsibility for having a vegan diet that was heavily processed, when I just didn't have the mental space to care for myself anymore with all the stress I was going through. But I also feel that it was because my adrenals were overburdened. I think that too contributed to rising blood sugar, which meant having a stimulant that had more cortisol pumping into my body and adrenaline. It was not a good idea. It wasn't helping my sugar, my insulin resistance, and so on. So in that aspect, I really had to make a choice. So guys, I think what you can look at is, first of all, do you feel like in the morning you don't have energy until you have coffee? If that's the case, coffee really needs to go. You need to work on healing your adrenals, making sure you're supporting them to be strong, to give you the right amount of cortisol in the morning, lowering at night so you can go to sleep, having a normal cycle. Do you feel that you get anxious or your sleep is interrupted? You have to get off coffee and any other stimulants, really. That includes cacao to a certain extent, and matcha, and all these things. So you have to really examine the full picture. And I would say, if you cannot start your day and be functional without coffee, please consider get off it. Now, there is a withdrawal. There is definitely a detox process from coffee, resulting in headaches, resulting in bad mood, resulting in many, many things that you may feel like, oh, this is rough, I'd rather have coffee. If you pull through it in a few days, a week, you will feel so much better. I promise you, I've been there. And so just stick with it. I know it's really hard, and a lot of people don't even want to hear this, and then they want to talk about giving up coffee. But ultimately, again, if you care about your health, you should do it. If you don't care about your health, then continue. What can I say? But for those of you that really want to be healthier, that want to be more functional, they want to be there, trust me, the energy you get naturally from your body, it's so much better than any coffee, because it doesn't go up and then crashes down. You're going to be consistent with your energy level, and that's a much better place to be, especially if you have children, if you have activities, if you have work, if you have projects. You want to have a consistent amount of energy to really give you what you need to perform in life. So yeah, coffee, good or bad? Both. And I'm going to put some studies below so that you can actually look at it as well. Bye.